Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Yes, I've closed the NAS trades now. They just, I don't know, I seem to have lost the conviction behind that one, but I've closed the NAS trades. I had to kind of cancel out the EU losses as well, so the NAS trades helped with that. Yeah, sharp bounce this morning. This afternoon. I thought it was going to open more red than this. I will watch for new NAS entries. But I just wanted to start quickly on Euro GBP because I think that this has the most plausible next setup. I hope you guys are all well. Thank you for joining. We are getting stuck in to some pretty crazy market conditions. We are now in full-blown regional war in the Middle East. And as the title suggests, we are monitoring the situation. Any predictions for Nvidia this year? That's a good question. Depends what the Chinese do with Taiwan, I think. If the Americans continue to use up all of their offense and defense capabilities, the Chinese could move quite easily on Taiwan, in theory. There isn't, the Taiwanese themselves could put up a pretty good fight, but the Chinese are a superpower. I don't think the Japanese could really do much, nor could the South Koreans. But that's really what Nvidia's contingent on, I think. But we will be also monitoring that situation. Right, I'm looking at Euro GBP longs. Weekly suggests possibility of pushing up to around 0.88200. It's going through a slight pullback this week's. It's a pretty strong sell-off candle, Euro GBP here. This is a 12-hour chart now. It's worth watching for, if the price forms a higher low here. Welcome everyone, thank you very much for joining. We're going to be looking for this Euro GBP long over the next week. Okay, so that's probably the most prominent new setup that I'm looking at. Euro GBP longs. We'll go through the rest of the markets now. So yeah, the NAS recovering quite swiftly here. Closes for around a 1 to 2, whereas the peak of it was around 1 to 3. I will be looking to possibly get more shorts on the NAS. I'm not convinced that this is the end of the selling for it. But I had to close those positions. It was kind of just messing with my head at this stage. Main focus is the oil trade now. But yeah, going to be looking for continuation on the NAS. Not anytime soon though, but when that confirmation comes in. To be honest, a lot of these currency pairs, there have been some pretty significant gaps over the market open. So not something I would necessarily be looking at trading right now. But that Euro GBP setup is nice. We had in the chat this morning, somebody mentioned that the Swiss franc or the Swiss bank is looking at intervening because of how valuable their currency is. So we're seeing money flow out of the Swiss franc, which is why GBP CHF is bouncing. In all honesty, that's something we've been predicting for some time. So there was a long opportunity to go, or there will be long opportunities on this. We could have got in Friday theoretically, but yeah, okay, that would have been that would have been an impossible gap to hold through. But yeah, we've been looking for bounces from here because this is historical lows on GBP CHF. These are the kind of historical levels that the Swiss bank has intervened in the past. Full port GBP CHF time. I mean, it's on the cards, to be honest. If they're talking about intervening, it's always had a pretty sharp recovery since then. Full port, obviously not, but the move is there, in theory. I'm really happy to just be down to the oil position, so I'm not going to start chasing these kind of unicorn trades just yet. But something we have had our eyes on for some time. We can continue to watch it. I mean, if we get some nice reversal structure, if it pulls back and forms an inverse head and shoulders, something like that, then possibly, yeah. I'm confused. Didn't I just do analysis on this pair? I'm not sure where that seems to have gone. Either way, though, it looks like the price is actually retracing further than the fib that we were looking at. So Euro GBP, it might not even be valid at the end of the day. I think my main focus will be on commodities now. Gold is looking tempting for a long. There's a nice pullback going on. Should really wait for it to come a bit lower. I am slightly kicking myself that I didn't take the gold long at 5,100. That was something we were looking at over here, and I do want to get in on these commodities. We're in on oil. That's the trade that you can see in the bottom left of your screen now. But there's positions across some of these other commodities: silver, gold, precious metals. In regards to oil, it's always worth keeping a track on marine traffic, the situation of the Strait of Hormuz here. Looks like one ship is making the perilous journey. Very brave. There's a cargo vessel. Malaysian flagged, right? Oh no, I guess that is America. Right, American flagged. I don't know why I thought that was Malaysia. So a American flagged. Oh, Liberia. Never mind. A bit confused there. Interesting. So that's making the journey. Most of the other significant ships you can see are, well, accumulating around the outside of the strait here. So this is the zone that our oil is specifically dependent on. This looks like a refueling plane, a Boeing Stratotanker, military or government, just taken off from Tel Aviv, probably flying refueling missions. Yeah, airspace is still completely devoid of any aeroplanes over the affected regions. It's crazy because I'm pretty sure the airport in Dubai was the busiest prior to this. Poly market, what are people saying on here? People betting on the Iranian regime falling. I really don't think that's going to happen. I think this event has only unified them, to be honest. People betting on US-Israel strikes. Next supreme leader of Iran. And then sports. Sports betting. Crypto fear and greed at 10. I really think this is accumulation time for crypto. These extreme fear values are looking delicious. Martin, GJ longs from this morning. Nice. That looks like a good trade. Andrew just got back in the UK from Thailand, went through Oman, just missed all the action, thank God. I'm glad to hear you got back safely. Must be pretty precarious to fly over that region at the moment. What about XAG Silver? We're seeing a sharp sell-off take place at New York Open. So we'll continue to watch this. Maybe we can get a good discount here. We did have the buys initially forecasted from $85, so perhaps it will return to that level. 85 would be a good long. Gold might fill some of the gap first. Yeah, we're gonna look for some of these like some of these metal longs for sure. Gold and silver. Maybe some of the other ones too, like platinum. Surprised oil hasn't pushed more? Well, I mean, it gapped, what, $6 or so? No, sorry, like nearly $10 actually at the peak of it. So that's a pretty significant gap, and this is only day 3, really. So the longer this area is affected, I mean, I'm hearing a lot of analysts point to triple digits for oil now, which would be pretty remarkable. But yeah. Oh wow! All those Israel war on Iran dramatically expands across the Middle East. So these are showing conflict zones. This is the best monitoring the situation tool. So there's the Ukraine-Russia conflict. Iran here. Strait of Hormuz crisis. There's almost too much going on this screen. It's having a bit of processing like delay, but I think there's a desktop native app, which I think is probably a bit better. Breaking alerts: Iran instability rising. Instability index rose from 46 to 80. That's just now. Bangladesh instability rising. Kuwait instability. Oh my goodness, what's going on? Iran, Bangladesh, Kuwait, Afghanistan, Lebanon, Qatar, Israel, Russia, Pakistan, Saudi. Yeah, that's pretty scary. United Kingdom. And you've got live camera feeds here monitoring the situation. AI strategic posture AI is displaying the capabilities of, well, the Iran theater, Baltic theater, Black Sea, South China Sea. Iran with the 80 reading on country instability. Where are you watching this live? Which information source are you referring to? If it was the marinetraffic.com, probably was what we were talking about at the time. There's Marine Traffic, there's Flight Radar 24, and there's World Monitor. Those are the I think that's what you were referring to. What broker can you trade with if you're in the US? I'm not really too familiar with American brokers, to be honest. Really appreciate you doing this regular streams. It has become an integral part of my daily routine. I'm glad to hear that, Andy. That is exactly the point. We're here day in and day out, monitoring the situation. So 43 minutes ago, war widens as Israeli and US planes pound Iran and Tehran and its proxies hit back. Stranded travelers scramble to make new connections as war shuts much of the Middle East to air travel. So we've seen that together. Oh, and in the US, one of the very few brokers that are regulated with MT5. Thanks for the suggestion. That's cool. Are there any questions or other comments? My strategy is going to be holding oil longs. Andrew says crypto looks strong. Is that so? I hope you're not pulling my leg. You are pulling my leg. I mean, well, strong is a bit of a... Considering, yeah, I guess. I don't appreciate my leg being pulled, though. I'm just waiting to see, 100k Bitcoin. Over 100k. But yes, funneling the Forex profits into crypto. BTC looks awful. That's exactly the point. That's exactly the time to be purchasing, in my opinion. You don't want it to be on its 8th, bullish weekly candle and then start buying. When you start hearing about it from the guy down the shops, that's the wrong time to get involved. MicroStrategy will buy they're going to buy more Bitcoin today. The firm holds 717,722 Bitcoin, valued at $47.65 billion. That is unbelievable. So imagine being in that situation right now. Looks like it's consolidating before going lower. What would be your Max Payne prediction? 2B3 Oz 39. I've got 50k. I think the 3-month chart looks really healthy, honestly. People are freaking out, but you look at the 3-month chart, everything looks like it's setting up for another leg upwards, in my opinion. The Fibonacci extension targets are giving 155k and about 200k as targets. I may buy a little more algo. Yeah, I mean, it's hovering just under 10 cents now. Pretty much the lowest it's ever been, so yeah, you guys know my strategy. I'm just accumulating these crypto coins. But my nan said, yes, wait for your nan to start telling you to buy Bitcoin. That's the signal to sell, actually. Max paying 30k. Well, I do hope we don't hit that, but actually, I mean, it would be really bad drawdown, but I guess to accumulate more at that level would be all right. No, I don't have any stop losses for a long term. This is just accumulation. If you buy with leverage, though, then you could be automatically closed if you're too heavy in drawdown. But I'm just buying spot, so there's no. Yeah, the price is kind of irrelevant. Just cheap enough that it's better than it was. All right, you're not buying at 125k anymore. So if your horizon is 3 years, 5 years, these prices shouldn't really be like relevant in that far down the line. So maybe the oil call will be the perfect long entry, $65 a barrel. Maybe it won't return to that for years even. And then the crypto calls, I haven't been vindicated yet, but time will prove if I'm right about this as well. We're racking up these predictions. All started with GameStop. Then XRP, I think, was the next most notable one. I can even take credit for the FTX call. I think that did like a 4 or 5x. Oil at 65. We've made a few good calls over the years. Yes, you can hold infinitely. Exactly. Indefinitely. $65 on oil is a great trade. The entry on my MetaTrader is literally 65.01. So that was really nice. Why did you close NAS? It's a good question. It's had a pretty strong bounce this morning, and the daily chart isn't filling me with conviction. Yeah, I've had enough really, but also this daily chart. I think I may re-enter. I wanted to make up for the EU losses that I took because they were a little bit hefty. That EU trade was ended up to be a bit of a disaster, unfortunately. But yeah, you can see this daily chart as well. I just wanted to get out of all of that and focus on the oil. How's it being back in the UK, Andrew? How long's it been since you were last here? And you've chosen a good day to come back. You brought the weather with you. I'm going to sit down here. See, this is the best setup. I've got a camera for when I want to sit, camera for when I want to stand. Everything's been thought of. Got the Herman Miller chair, lumbar support. We're chilling. This is how you monitor the situation in 4K. Super comfortable. 3 days, I'm cold. Been away 6 months. 35 degrees to 8. Wow. Yeah, it's a shock to the system. For sure. But it's a beautiful day. XAU. Yeah, I'm tempted as well, Martin, but I spent all of February, like, I mean, you guys saw that hold. That was a that was an experience. Now that I've closed the NAS shorts, I feel a bit more at peace. But that was quite a hold. So to get straight in now, especially with this oil one, yeah, I'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. Just more concerned with oil right now. Are you positive on the NAS and EU trades, or did they result in a red number, if you don't mind answering? The EU trades were a negative result. The NAS was a positive outcome. But together they basically cancelled themselves out. So yeah, I'll post screenshots in the Discord later. Surprised New York didn't continue the oil buys, considering Aramco depot got attacked and the strait being closed. Yeah, I'm also somewhat surprised by the US market open here. The NAS actually bounced and oil isn't really moving. It's interesting. But I think, this is still early days. A lot of the serious intellectuals that I follow, they're saying triple digits possibly for oil, which would be a huge trade if that happens. Yeah, please let me know if you have any questions. Nothing particularly tradable at the moment. These gold and silver longs, I think they may be, this may be forming. Ooh, okay. Actually, this looks very plausible. I do want to get involved in silver, so let me perform a full analysis here. Would love to see XAU at 5,280. What do you think of silver, Paul? Glad I closed my Euro JPY position on Friday, but now I'm tempted to jump back in. Well, okay, so 84 would be a higher quality long. This would be like option A. But it does make sense to be watching now this like $88, as there is a level of support here. And then essentially any buys, you just got to account for both of those. Option A and B, and possibility to stack entries. Depending on how far it pulls back. So the idea here is just to stack the entries. Stack the entries across multiple price points. If it's not going to dash back to 85, then 90 seems not too bad. Yeah, that's really the key, is how far is it going to pull back here? Nothing that quite constitutes confirmation just yet. So still plenty of time to wait and see. But I'll be keeping an eye on this for sure. Silver longs. Mr. Ethos, welcome. Hope everything's good. I don't know if you guys can hear this. Maybe not.
Gold and silver, because in the last 2 years, gold has appreciated by more than 150%, and silver has very nearly quadrupled. So this is what I'm talking about, and this is the reason why I'm not comfortable giving a prediction, because whatever I say might end up to 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 be lower than what we'll see. You know, I read some people today talk about $100 oil, but we were already at 120 in 2021. $100 a barrel is not exactly, doesn't reflect the global emergency. We go to $200 a barrel, or we can go to $300 a barrel.
Did you hear what he just said? $200, $300 a barrel.
related exchange traded funds and so forth, um, they could overwhelm the market. And this is why we get this vertical progression. And we've just, the most recent markets that we've seen were gold and silver, because in the last years, gold has appreciated by more than 150%, and silver has nearly quadrupled. So this is what I'm talking about. And this is the reason why I'm not comfortable giving a prediction, because whatever I say might end up to 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 be lower than what we'll see. I read some people today talk about $100 oil, but we were already at 120 in 2021. $100 a barrel is not exactly, doesn't reflect the global emergency. We go to $200 a barrel, or we can go to $300 a barrel. Nobody can predict this, and it will depend on how this war evolves. The fact that Ras El Tanura oil facilities were targeted, and I'm not, I don't buy that it was necessarily the Iranians. There would be many people who would have an interest in disrupting the oil industry. Uh, that means that somebody's targeting the oil industry, right? Which means that we might see a lot more disruptions, and any prediction end up being uh, might end up underestimating the forces that are now pushing the oil.
So this guy is pointing towards a triple-digit oil price at the very least. He said even $100 a barrel is, almost to be expected. And he's talking about $200 to $300 a barrel. Now I'm going to take that with a pinch of salt, but this is a very respected intellectual and economist, from what I understand anyway.
Price higher.
Yeah, no, well, usually there's economic incentives to both start and end wars. I see that Reza Pahlavi, the son of the Shah, that is the puppet monarchy and dictatorship that ruled Iran before the Islamic Revolution of '79. He gave an interview arguing that the U.S. could get $1 trillion in business if they would just topple the government and put him in power. So this talk was almost a complete copy paste from Machado in Venezuela. So maybe he will get the Nobel Peace Prize as well. But what are the wider economic ramifications, you think, though? Because again, shutting down the Strait of Hormuz is important for oil. That's the main concern, obviously. But overall, given that we see Iran also striking some ports, again, this could have a military purpose as well. But do you see any other problems with shutting down global supply chains, or is this mostly, I mean, is the economic aspect the same as energy, or do you think it will encompass more?
It will certainly encompass more, because energy is essential for all kinds of things in our economies. Today, again, a broad brush estimate is that 50 times more work gets carried out uh, with the aid of hydrocarbons than manually. So if oil economy is curtailed, the whole economy slows down. And I think that some nations in this will be winners, other nations will be losers. I think that Europe is in a particularly vulnerable position because we're already in the middle of a self-inflicted energy crisis. This only makes it worse. Europe has, because we don't like the dirty Russian hydrocarbons, we wanted the Europeans reoriented towards more democratic hydrocarbons like American and Qatari ones. And so now even natural gas from Qatar flow might get disrupted towards Europe. So I think that Europe is in a huge deal of trouble, and we've been destroying nuclear power plants. We've been destroying our relationship with uh, with with Russia.
Can traders in the US use the broker you trade with, and what broker do you use? No, I don't believe they can. But I'll put the link to the broker I use in the chat. JP Morgan did just buy 12 million of physical silver. They've been doing it for a while. Yeah, I think most smart money has been accumulating precious metals. The Chinese have been buying loads in particular. Do you guys, I mean, do you enjoy us like watching this kind of stuff together, or I can just end the stream as well? I mean, this is kind of what I'm doing in my, like, you know, the rest of the time is having these types of shows on this analysis. I mean, we can either do it at the same time, or I'm doing it separately either way. The reason that I put that on is because they were specifically talking about oil, so it's very relevant for us. Some serious traffic jam going on here. The US limits traders to just Forex, but not to commodities and indices. Oh, I see. Can you explain your analysis on silver? Well, I did just analyze it. Can you be a bit more specific, please? We're looking for... I am looking for the price to come down slightly lower, but like buys from around 85 for me is like really my target. Buys at $85 per ounce, I guess. So we need a bit more of a correction, but that's what I'm looking at. Okay, well, I will end it there for now. This was just a check-in during the New York session. We'll be keeping an eye on oil, and if anything drastic changes, I will stream again. Thank you very much for joining, everyone. I wish you all a good day ahead.